On. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on not Delusions, Inside Movies Galore. Um, that is our other channel, but we are continuing to celebrate our 5 years of being here online, and we have another set of films for you brought to us by none other than my fiance Tammy. So why don't you tell us, Tammy, what was the film you had us watch this week?
It was All Dogs Go to Heaven, and actually, there's John Bluth. This is the one that directed it when he had two
John Bluth.
co-directors, Gary Goldman and Dan Kunster. Um, the movie is basically it's a cartoon. It's a canine angel, Charlie, sneaks back to Earth from heaven, but ends up befriending an orphan girl who can speak to animals. In the process, Charlie learns that friendship is the most heavenly gift of all. We have lots of actors in here. Charlie is Burt Reynolds. And one of the other main characters, Itchy, is Dom DeLuise.
Two best actors.
And we have other actors that you probably heard of, like Lonnie Anderson is in here. She's
Taynor.
Flo. The
Charles
little girl
Riley.
is Judith Barcy.
This was her last role.
Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately,
Yep.
we found that out.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate about that.
Yep, last role, 10 years old, murdered
Murdered by her father. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
I
happened to her?
I don't know if you hear about him that much anymore, but Vic Tayback was Carface.
And this was his last role
His
too.
last
I
role,
believe.
yeah, he died a year later.
Yeah.
Or
One
he
of his-
died a few months later.
And one of his big roles, actually, my great grandparents used to watch the show Alice, and he was
Ah.
in that.
And Charles Nelson Riley, who used to be on on every game show back in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, you're talking about the guy who voiced the rat race.
Who voiced Killer.
Yeah, Killer, the dog that looked the least like a killer.
Right? I'm like, he's killer.
And the alligator, the king gator, was Ken Page with that singing voice.
And if you look up Ken Feige, didn't he do Audrey too?
Yep, and he was also Oogie Boogie in Nightmare Before Christmas.
So I
Which
guess
one was?
The alligator.
Cool.
I guess we should get everybody's first takes on this. So why don't we start with you, Brandon?
Well, this is definitely not my first time watching this. I admit, as a kid, I used to avoid it a lot after I saw it the first time. Because this came out in 89. I was only around 10 years old when this originally came out. And I saw it, and after the ending, it just, the ending left a bad taste in my mouth as a kid. So I was like, that's that sad dog movie. I can't watch this anymore. And as an adult, of course, it's not like that now. But because the animation is beautiful, the voice acting is amazing, and just in general, it is a very fun film. I mean, Don Bluth is a master artist, and I went ahead and I watched the All Dogs collection. So I watched this and the two sequels. It is amazing that Dom DeLuise actually stood out and stayed there for all three.
He was one of Don Bluth's regulars if you go through his filmography.
And
I love John DeLuise.
of course, it is really sad to see that, of course, Charlie's actor changed. Charlie Sheen in the second one, which I guess it makes sense, Charlie to Charlie, but it's kind of jarring when you change those voices.
Charlie always plays Charlie.
You
But,
said there was 3 All Dogs Go to Heaven?
Yes. There was.
Christmas special.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the third one?
Yeah.
Your husband doesn't admit
Sorry.
that it's there.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. I
He
know
ignores
about
it.
you.
The third film is essentially where Carface works with the evil twin of the poodle in heaven to try and use a giant dog whistle to force all of the dogs to steal all the presents from under the trees and give them to her. And they use the whole like
Grinch?
Scrooge thing to try and convince Carface to change his ways.
Yeah, you've acknowledged them as films. I tend to ignore them.
I acknowledge, the second one came out in theaters.
Yeah, I
And-
remember that one.
And the third one is a feature. So, it could be a straight to video, but the second one at least has been acknowledged as a, in theaters film. Not a good one, but
Yeah.
still, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the third one yet, so.
Well, you never know. This is the time of year for it if you really, really want to see it. And if you like the second one okay, you'd be okay with the third one, I'm sure. But yes, great film.
The
And
Howling Dogs for me for one life.
as a kid, I couldn't deal with the ending, but as an adult, I'm fine with it. So, it's a good one. I really,
For a movie called All Dogs Go to Heaven, there wasn't a lot of killing of dogs.
I mean, yeah, beautiful animation, especially when they talk about the clothing and the little girl when she does the curtsy and stuff like that. It's just amazing how high quality it is. So, but that's mine. Oh, and Burt Reynolds will always be Charlie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he does a good Charlie.
I didn't watch it in the original Japanese, though.
When you're watching it, and once you know that it's, especially once you know that it's Burt Reynolds, there's certain things that he says, certain ways he says it, even certain ways he acts that it's like, yeah, that's Burt Reynolds.
I agree.
Yeah, they actually modeled they modeled Charlie directly after Burt Reynolds.
See, it was funny. I recognized Don DeLuise's voice before I recognized Burt Reynolds.
So is that all you have, Brandon?
Yep, I'm all good on it. Great movie.
All right. How about you, Dave?
This wasn't a first time watch for me. I watched this many times when I was a kid. I always liked to think that dogs actually always went to heaven. I actually do believe there is a heaven and a hell. So to me, it was only natural that dogs went to heaven, although they didn't really go all that much to heaven in here. But there's something to like about this movie. I mean, the dogs act like they're human, and to be honest, some of the characters were a little dark, but that being said, the character of Anne Marie was cute. At the time, I didn't know of her or her sad comeuppance. In fact, I didn't realize it until I'd actually looked up the information, and that was a tragedy, So to me, that was like the biggest surprise the second time around learning that because I remember her voice, and I forgot that she was in the few things that she was, and knowing that she was the voice of this. And what else did I figure out?
Land
that
Before Time. Land Before Time.
Yeah, the Land Before Time. She was Ducky.
Yep.
Well,
And
she-
Ducky.
and she appeared on
Yeah.
she appeared on a lot of TV shows like Punky Brewster, Cheers, Cagney and Lacey, The Love Boat, Twilight Zone.
Wow.
She was in quite a few things. I mean,
Oh, she was she was Chief Brody's granddaughter in Jaws: The Revenge.
mhm.
Talk about movies people don't like to acknowledge.
Yeah, apparently
Right.
Talk about a dog of a movie.
apparently her father was a drunk and ended up being a recluse. They moved to like a new house and everything, and then suddenly a neighbor heard like a loud gunshot and ran next door, and evidently the father had like barricaded himself in the garage, and the house was set fire, and evidently both mother and daughter were shot before the fire was started, and he went and shot himself. So that's pretty much
Murder suicide.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So
That's such
sad.
a shame, you know.
That is sad.
sorry, I had to mention it. So
And of course, Burt Reynolds died in 2018, which I just found out.
Yep.
And Dom DeLuise died. Not sure when, but
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Almost the entire. I mean, I think Lonnie Anderson, Melba Moore, and Ken Page are the only cast members who are still alive.
Melanie Anderson was in this.
Lonnie Anderson, yeah, she was Flo. Yeah, she was Flo.
but there's
Which one-
some there's
Which one
some,
is Flo?
there's something about this animation that I've grown to have an appreciation for. I mean, there's a camaraderie between himself and Itchy, you know,
Oh yeah, she's fun.
and just them having like the girl together when they're at the races. That's kind of a cute part, and you know,
The rat race or the horse race?
the horse race.
Horse race.
The rat races were different, and I love the fact that they had a turtle race too. I love turtles.
I somehow how did I'm watching the damn movie in front of my face and somehow I missed that.
Yeah, they went through quite a few races to get like that Charlie's place back up and running or whatever. So
Oh, okay, well, we'll get to that.
Yep.
Okay. So, Pearl, what's your first impression?
Can you do Forrest first?
Okay. Forrest, you're next.
Okay. No. Okay. So this is not my first time watching it, but this is my first time watching it as an adult because I haven't seen this movie in like almost 30 years. Because I remember the first. I mean, this movie was one of it was Don Bluth after he had broken off from Disney. But ironically, the first time I watched this movie was on Disney Channel back when they showed non-Disney content. I remember seeing it on there like once or twice on Disney Channel once or twice as a kid, but I haven't seen it, and I hadn't seen it since then. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's I thought it was really well done. The animation's good. The story and the voice acting are really good. Music's great. I did know about that the really fucked up history regarding Judith Barzee and her murder suicide. Actually, her whole murder suicide thing. I was plus, but yeah, I think it was really well done. Great animation, some fantastic voice work. I think that's one problem I think one of the issues with animated movies now versus back when this movie was made was back then. I mean, sure, there's some all-star talent in terms of like Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise and Lonnie Anderson, but it was mostly still professional voice actors as opposed to just they get the biggest name, the biggest names in Hollywood just to they slap the name, it's like in animated movies now, they just get the biggest names, whether or not they really fit the role. It's like I guess it's all I got for now.
Okay. Are you ready, Kroll? Otherwise, we'll go to Jake.
Yeah, I'm ready now. Sorry, I was grabbing some eggnog and I was in the kitchen and people were sleeping. So,
Okay.
anyways, this is the first time watch. as many of the people on the show know, I'm not a big fan of dogs, so I never wanted to watch it.
Oh, I love dogs.
Um,
I grew
the
up.
only, like I said, the only thing sad about it is all these dogs go to heaven, no one dies, or none of them die.
Well, we gotta
But
come up
that
with
said, I actually did
somebody has to
enjoy
make
it.
an all cats go to heaven.
When I recognized Dom DeLuise, and looked up and found out Burt Reynolds, and I was just like, as Tammy said, I started just seeing Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise, not dogs, and it became very enjoyable. I loved them in the end, and they've definitely been in some other movies together, and they have just such great chemistry together, and absolutely hilarious. So I think the movie would have been much better if it was cats. Because cats rule, dogs rule, but that's not the point.
Like I said, we should have somebody should submit a movie. Make a movie. All cats go to heaven.
Oh, there was a movie that came out several years later called Cats Don't Dance, which I think is which comes pretty close.
Huh. Okay.
Anyways, I liked it. Despite myself, I mean, when the dogs were all howling and stuff, I was like, oh my god, like, get me the fuck out of here. It was so obnoxious. I can't stand dogs barking. It's one of the things I hate about dogs. Constantly barking, and they had like 50 of them. It was cool how they did come to the rescue, and then of course Charlie rescuing, using her, whatever. Despite what he was saying, using her, he ended up caring for her even immediately. I mean, you can tell that, right away that he was caring for her, and it was cool, and he did help her find a family too, which is great. But yeah, it's a fun little movie. Some of the music was interesting. Not huge on musicals either, but yeah, it was interesting. The crocodile was kind of cool as well, and he didn't even need a dog, damn it. But yeah, that's my first impression.
All right, Jake, you all set?
I am. This movie does have a special place in my history and memory. Of course, my memory is not what it used to be, so I can't say exactly which place it is. But I want to say this was the third film that I saw in theaters. I think. I know I saw it when it hit theaters. I was actually kind of excited to see it. I know I had seen Transformers the movie, and I am reasonably sure that I had already seen The Land Before Time. So I think this was and I think I saw this before Dick Tracy. So I think this was the third one. So it's definitely an early theater going experience for me. So it's always stuck out in my mind for that. I do have a big nostalgia for that first handful of movies. That being said, I somehow never bothered to add this to my collection. And I haven't seen it in years. I couldn't even swear how many times I've seen it overall. And I was kind of surprised watching it how little I remembered. Like some of it was very nostalgic, but a lot of it was like, I really don't remember this movie. It's interesting. Coming back to it now, I'm a little surprised at how dark it was and where it went in certain places. Even without the tragic backstory, there's still some darkness to be had just from the movie itself.
The whole movie's about animals dying. I mean, the whole premise of the movie is about about an animal dying,
and not just that, a dog. And I'm not going to go as far as Ron is. I don't hate dogs, But I will say that I am keenly aware that in the overall scheme of things, how much a dog dying in a movie, how much I give a shit about that is a fraction of what most people would. I know that for most people, killing a dog is like a sacred cow. You don't do it. So to build a movie on that premise is a kind of ballsy for a kid's movie. And,
It worked though.
Now they killed the dog originally in a way that's not super super hard because he doesn't know what hit him. But
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you
and
never.
they don't
part
entirely
at the
show
end,
it
that
either.
really-
Like
Well, that
you know what happened.
Well, you wouldn't want to probably watch a dog's life or a dog's journey.
Oh god.
I need to see those, but now one thing that's interesting is I understand Don Bluth had a much darker cut of this that he wanted to one day re-release, and apparently it got stolen or something. I do hope it resurfaces one day. I'd love to see the director's
I
cut.
thought he just had it like in a vault. I thought he just had it in a vault somewhere.
I had read that he had it in a vault, but that somehow it had gone missing or gotten stolen or something.
It was me.
What's that?
It was me. It's in my movie room.
It's in your room. Okay, well I have to remember that. I have to go watch it sometime. But
I need to say one thing. I did watch Old Yeller, and I did cry when he died in that movie. The dog died in that movie.
yeah, I
I was
grew
a
up
little
on
kid.
Old Yeller.
Yeah, I grew up on that
Same
one
here.
too. And I was a fan of Lassie as well when I was a kid.
Right.
When I was I'd say before I was 12, I liked dogs. Then I had an incident with a dog at 12, and didn't like him anymore.
Oh, I grew up. I grew up around I grew up around dogs. My parents had, my parents, my sister, my grandmother always had dogs.
I couldn't stand Beethoven. Oh my god!
I love Beethoven. Now I don't know if I'd be
He's
able to go back to that and still enjoy it as much.
Oh, I'd say my favorite. If we're talking favorite movie dogs, I would say Milo from The Mask.
Well, yeah, definitely. And the Milo was great. But we'll talk about Beethoven, talking about series where the sequels kind of dragged it through the mud. But anyway,
literally.
Or dog.
Yeah. I'm watching this again. I appreciated a lot of things from a different angle than I would have the first time I saw it. And it was kind of nice to revisit it after so long. I do need to one day add it to the collection. I don't know why that hasn't happened exactly, but maybe that lost cut will resurface and they'll actually do a Criterion release. I mean, one can hope, right? But anyway, this is it's good. It's a fun movie. It was kind of nice to go back and revisit. Now we just need to hit the other. We did Nim, and now we've done this one. We really need to go back and do American Tail and Land Before Time. Gotta get those in there.
Talk about a movie. Its sequels, kind of.
Yeah,
that's got 14 of them out there.
Which movie?
Land Before Time.
And I've seen a couple.
I've only seen
You're
the
not
first.
missing much.
No, there are now more Land Before Time movies than there are Friday the 13th movies.
I did not know that. I knew it was more, but
and they
I've
will
only seen the
haunt your
first. I've only ever
nightmares
wanted
just
to
as
the first.
badly.
I would say maybe even more so than Friday the 13th.
But the game I played, EverQuest 2, actually had a heroic zone where you went and fought the dinosaurs, and each one had names from Land Before Time, Petrie and Sierra and Littlefoot. They were all there. It was fun.
Okay, so moving on. So this is definitely not my first time. I have a little bit of nostalgia with this too. I know I've mentioned before things weren't always the greatest with my mother. And I know we did not go see it in the theater. When it came out, I know I was 17 years old. But I do remember her turning me onto this, and I believe we watched it together, but it wasn't at the theater. So it's kind of got a thing, a special thing for me because that was at a time that we were fixing things between us. So it was kind of neat, you know? So I myself also grew up with dogs. I grew up with German Shepherds, and everybody else in the family had um, little dogs, poodles, schnauzers, things like that.
German Shepherds are respectable.
Yeah, I had a German Shepherd Husky mix growing up.
Oh yeah, we grew up with German Shepherds.
And then funny enough, my sister now has a dachshund. So she's got so we've had at least between her, at least she's at least had grown up with at least two of the breeds in this movie.
Well, yeah, our German Shepherd was a big boy. He was 6'1" on his hind legs and 150 pounds. And he was solid as a rock, and he was trained on the police force at one time. So, you know what? You better not come near my mom or me, or that might be the end of you. So, yes, Baron was very protective. But anyways, yes, I do remember when I saw this the first time, I really enjoyed it. I was not a young, I was probably like I said, probably about 18 years old. So I wasn't a young kid, but at the time I wasn't into movies the way that I'm into movies now. So I didn't like totally appreciate who the voices were and stuff at that time like I do now. So like rewatching it like the other night, I've gotten a new appreciation for it, knowing who is in it, compared to just watching the movie like I did when I first watched it. But yes, I do agree with everybody that yes, there definitely is some darkness to it, which is surprising since, you know, it is
No
supposed to be
darkness,
for
my
kids.
friend.
But other than that, I guess that's all I have to say about it right now. Anybody else have anything before we get into it?
Well, I mean, there was I don't know why it keeps wanting to keep moving to Escaflowne. It just keeps wanting that discussion. But George Carlin actually once had an interesting phrase I thought was good for this. Life is a series of dogs.
Yeah, that man was something else, that's for sure. But okay, well, as we get into this, you meet right off the bat, you meet Charlie and his best buddy Itchy, and they're trying to break Charlie out of the dog pound. And well, they managed to do it, but create quite a catastrophe with everything. Um, and after they break out, Charlie is supposed to be a part owner of a casino because in this movie, the dogs are, as we've mentioned before, like people. So he's supposed to be part owner of this casino with another dog named Carface. So they go to the casino and realize things are a whole lot different than before Charlie got locked up. And we realize partially into it that Carface is not very happy that Charlie is back. So he is devising ways to get rid of him because he does not want to split anything with him 50-50 and be a partner or anything anymore. He wants the place all to himself. And that brings us up to when Charlie actually gets killed. So what does everybody think about this so far?
It's good.
Face. I always thought I don't like him I don't think he's a really good guy, but I like the character.
I like him as a villain.
He comes across as, an old-fashioned gangster, and he does. Yeah. And I like how they voiced him in this as opposed to the other movies. But he comes across well as that guy who doesn't want to share. And you always wondered how they got to be partners in the first place. I'd like to see a prequel of All Dogs Go to Heaven where they form their partnership and stuff, because Charlie was not a good guy himself. He's just a more charismatic guy.
Yeah,
Right.
Dog.
Charlie's the bad boy that everybody likes, kind of. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
He's kind of a
Yeah.
tramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you
Yeah,
think?
I like Carface. You could definitely tell was a bad guy, and as soon as he saw Charlie, he's like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you back," and everything. I'm like, "Yeah, he's faking it." You know, he was not sincere at all. Yeah, you could definitely tell right away that he was not happy Charlie was back, and he didn't have his best interest. And then you hear Itchy over here about them going to kill him and stuff, and I'm like, "Who knew?" You know, kind of. But yeah.
Right.
Carface is definitely a good villain. You know, Hard Dog.
What'd you think of the gun dog that's his sidekick called Killer? Yeah, he really looks like a killer.
Yeah, it was that was pretty funny. That was you know, usually when you have Killer, you have you know, like in Half Baked. That was a killer. They killed Killer, dude.
Yeah, like, more
But
like a idiot.
yeah, this killer was definitely not a killer at all.
So after Charlie gets killed, he goes to heaven, and he's not. He does
Did we
not.
mention the rat race?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
I did kind of like that, because you got this there is this culture of like using dogs for sport, and it's usually associated with the criminal underground kind of element.
Yeah.
And then but you instead you have the dogs in that arena, but they are watching rats racing. And I just thought that was kind of funny. That was a nice little touch.
Now at first I
the rat
thought
race.
I thought it was
Yeah.
I thought it was dogs, and I'm like, why these dogs look like rats? And I was like, oh, they are rats. Okay.
Yeah, that was quite interesting because of all of the things they could have, you know, to have them running rats around, just like, you know, like we said, dogs. We're used
Right.
to dog races or horse races, not rats races. So, yes. So yes, Charlie dies and he goes off to heaven. He don't want to be, because he wants to get even. He wants to, you know, he knows what happened. And that's where we meet Flo, who is played by Lonnie Anderson. She's trying to show him all the lovely things of being in heaven. And Charlie gets a hold of this watch.
But they know everything.
Then she tells him not
Yeah, I do like that. That she's going through page after page, and then at some point she makes a comment of something like, "I'm really having trouble finding the good in you." But
You know, that's loyal and something.
But all dogs go to heaven. They all have
right,
some good in them.
Oh,
Charlie gets a hold of this watch and winds it when she says not to, and here he goes back to Earth. And the whole time she's sitting there in the background, you could never come back.
I love the voice acting for that female lead, because she has the perfect way of going back and forth when it comes to her voice, where she can do the gentle and kind, but when she gets loud, you can tell she pulls into that deep voice and just bellows it out, which is an amazing thing.
Right. So Charlie comes back, scares the living daylights out of Itchy,
right.
and
That was the funny part.
that was pretty good because Itchy just I think Itchy almost went to heaven.
You're a ghost.
And then Charlie's telling him that he wants revenge, and Itchy is like doing everything he can to try and talk him out of this. And so they go to investigate Carface's place because Charlie got this, heard something about no, well, it wasn't Charlie. It was Itchy heard about a monster in the basement. So Charlie wants to go find this monster because he thinks he can use the monster against Carface. And that's where we meet the cute little girl.
Yep. She's evidently not necessarily a prisoner, but I guess
Not
she-
necessarily.
Her.
Can't even go outside. Of course, she's a prisoner.
Yeah, I'd say she's a
She's
prisoner.
just not handcuffed. the dwarves were actually keeping her in indentured servitude, and that's Yeah, right. She was their sex slave.
No, she was just free house. She was just free labor.
Well, if you watch the porno version.
sometimes follows being a sex
she
slave.
was their Cinderella.
Yeah. It was Disney in the 30s. I'm sure even old Walt wouldn't have gone there.
Why is it keep...
So Itchy and Charlie decide, well, basically Charlie decides that they're going to save the girl because Charlie realizes that Carface is making money off of her since she has a unique ability to talk to animals. And she can tell with the rat race, she knows which rats are going to win. And that's how Carface is making his.
money.
So Charlie and Itchy take her back to Itchy's place and make all kinds of promises that they're going to help her find a family. And but basically Charlie's got a whole other things on his mind, like how can he make money off of her to reopen his place. That's basically what he does.
Damn it.
So we see a whole bunch of scenarios of different races and with different animals. We got turtles. They are racing.
It's his birthday.
And then we get the horsies, yes.
Yeah. The most raggedy down, broken horse there ever is gonna win because it's his birthday, and that's all the horses decide is he's gonna win. They even push him to the finish line.
Yep. That
It's
was
the great Chahi's birthday.
That was kind of cute. Like not to rain on your parade, but it's his birthday. Oh, okay. Sorry.
So what'd you think about how they the little exercise they did to get some money out of that couple?
I thought it was interesting having Itchy going out and just doing his thing, and then she's all like, "Oh my gosh, you're hurt." No, this, and then of course he's not hurt, of course, but she doesn't realize that he's in on the scam there. She doesn't even know it's being a scam. She thinks that they're shopping out parents for her.
Right.
So it's interesting how it goes there. There's a part of it that almost annoys me how naive she is in some cases and how not naive she is in others.
Well, she is a little girl.
She is.
that is difficult. Like, well, they can be really smart at times and very naive at others. So
I think at one point we find out that she's like 8 years old or something.
yeah,
That she really,
I think she fits. I think she fits the mold where it's like some ways you can't fool her at all because she is an orphan. She has seen things, but she's still only 8. So
right, when she finally realizes what's going on, she gets mad, puts her foot down, when Charlie's trying to get her to tell him about which horse, she's already had enough by that point and doesn't want to help anymore. She says, "You're just like our face." You know, she realizes she's being used. But she does not realize at this point what's going on with um the stealing of the wallet. But it was very interesting what they did to go and make the bet. So anybody else got anything to say up to this point, or
I just think it's
Yeah.
a really neat animation to me. I mean, it was at an interesting point where Don Bluth had just not too long ago like broke himself off from Disney, and evidently he'd come from Disney's dark days, so it had a very sad undertone. A little bit more sadder than it probably needed to be, but it still had some cuteness.
okay. So as we're moving along, trying to remember exactly what happened for how they found the alligator. They got kidnapped or whatever by rats, I believe. Is how they ended up meeting the alligator.
Yeah, I think trying to think where that came along too.
Yeah, I think after Charlie, the the little girl goes and seeks out
she really
the
don't know
couple.
what they're doing, and that's when she got caught.
Yeah, she goes and seeks out the couple, and Charlie convinces her to come back with him, and then they get Carface tries to kill Charlie again, and that's when they fall into the they get kidnapped by the rats.
Yep, and then he's got that watch around his neck, so he's trying to keep it to like around him, and it keeps sinking on him, and he ends up I guess at the last moment howling, like in a singing type howl, and it's like that woke the croc up out of a reverie, and he's like, I can't eat this, not when it's got music in its soul.
Yeah, I thought that whole scene with the alligator was kind of neat. It was fun.
Let's make music together, let's make harmony. It is a catchy tune.
Oh yes, definitely one that you'll probably somewhat remember, at least from the movie. But he said that they would always be friends, which actually comes in handy later.
They also foreshadow the whole the watch and it being vulnerable to water in this one too.
Right. But so far he's been able to save it. So far. Mhm.
I also in the second moment that the crocodile shows up, I kept thinking to myself, Hook is a codfish, a codfish, a codfish, like a Peter Pan moment.
See, I keep mixing this one up with the one on Princess and the Frog because even though Princess and the Frog is many years later, it's, they still kind of run together for me.
Well,
I
yeah,
think, I think Bluth characters are more sinister in their nature.
there was an alligator in Hook also.
Dun, 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 dun.
It is a fairly similar moment when the crocodile goes after Carface. It's priceless. But
Yep, when alligator goes after him, all the dogs at this time have gotten together because
which kind
Charlie.
of reminds me of the world of 101 Dalmatians just a little bit, because those dogs were kind of like in sync with each other too when they had to like relay messages to each other.
Right.
Yeah, those bastard little dogs.
They all realize that Charlie is in trouble, and
Charlie's in trouble and the girl's gonna die.
yep, and they somehow get the people to call, and all the dogs come, and
They get that girl and her husband, and
Now, you see, one thing that I think I don't remember whether we skipped over it or not, is one of the times where Charlie was trying to show that he's given back some of the winnings, where he goes to the puppies and he has the sharing song. I actually really kind of like that, because you could tell those puppies did not want to share at all, even with the song. It was kind of cool. I liked all the behavior.
oh, when they're eating the pizza and stuff.
yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Yes, they
There are
definitely.
good songs in this, very good ones. I mean, shoot, the first song is probably one of my favorites.
It's a decent song.
Okay, so I guess we kind of get to the end where the alligator goes after Scarface. The little girl is rescued, and you see her recovering, and Itchy is laying there while she's trying to comfort her and recover himself from being beat up by Scarface and his goons. And during the whole battle, Charlie's watch finally stops working, and we see Charlie come to the little girl, and at first it doesn't look like a very nice scene. Yeah, very dark scene with like Charlie's gonna be going to hell, not heaven. But here comes Flo to save the day.
Well, he did say. She did say, you can never come back.
You can never come back.
But Charlie gave his life for the little girl. He was allowed to go back.
Yeah, there was a little Glenda blue ball that ended up showing up, and being his saving moment.
So
There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
I mean, I love the imagery that they show at the end of that, where you can see kind of the Satan stand-in character there just looming, kind of escorting him over. It's like, okay, you get this one last visit before you go. And it's really neat. And of course, it reflects the dream he has, where where it's kind of forbearing that he would go to hell if he died. And I just thought it was really well done image wise.
yeah.
as a
mean-
kid, I was bawling my eyes out at the end. I'm like, not watching this again.
That yes, the touch on that was very intense. That, and as far as the imagery goes, in that dream was wow.
I was 16 when this came out, so even if I'd watched it then and like dogs, I probably wouldn't have cried.
Yeah, I was like 10, so
Yeah, a little bit different.
Any other comments before we start going into music and production and all that?
Not that I know of.
No, not a lot. It's like I said, I hate to say it because this one was such a nostalgic favorite for mine, but on this viewing, I had trouble latching on to things. You know what I mean?
I seem to miss some things. Like I said, I was watching on my monitor in front of my face and still somehow miss some things. I'm like, when did that happen? When was this turtle race? You know, like I don't know how I missed it, but somehow I missed some things.
wait till we cover Land Before Time, and I decide I need to watch all the movies in the complete set that I have.
We'll have fun for that, but I would I'd be up for watching that first one again. That was a childhood. Well, I mean, I was a little older, but still, I loved it. I loved dinosaurs when I was young. So,
I had a little foot stuffed animal that I named Chad for some reason.
because you're weird.
No, because at the moment I didn't know like it was Littlefoot, and I picked Chad from Africa because there is like a separate entity in Africa that's called Chad, and I was like,
I still go back to you're weird.
My favorite though animation from a kid was Fox and Howard.
Oh, I wasn't exactly a kid when Aladdin came out, but that became my favorite.
you know,
Still is.
what year was this?
1989.
89.
I swear I saw this in the theater too. I after like hearing like people who've been to the theater, I swear to God, this was one that I actually went and saw as a kid in the
You would
theater.
only been about 5 years old.
I know, but I remember going for some reason.
Hey, I remember going to see Star Wars when I was 4.
Well, considering the screening I had of Paranormal Activity, I've seen kids a lot younger being brought into theaters.
I would have been about 5 or so when I saw Transformers. So yeah, it happens.
My earliest movie going experience was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 when I was 3.
Yeah, what's funny is the
You kids.
new
Dang.
trailer for the new Transformers just came out. So,
Transformers more than meets the eye. Oh wait, that was the cartoon.
Yes, at this point, it's more like Transformers more than
more
should be
than we really
allowed.
need.
More than we ever needed,
Dude, I was
yes, or
so
wanted.
mad.
Whether we asked for it.
Not the last one, the one before last when they're like showing the Dinobots. I'm like, yes, Dinobots, and then we had like 2 seconds of Dinobots. You
Well, it's
motherfucker.
just like there's supposed to be like 3 more avatars after this one. It's like, what the hell, you know?
No, only one was supposed to be a trilogy.
As far as like this film is concerned with special effects, I mean the animation. I mean, I've seen where animation can go, unfortunately, with the sequels, and Don Bluth is a master at that. I mean, this Secret of Nem, the original Land Before Time, American Tail, all of them are beautiful films, and just the way that they move, the way that you can see detail to every piece of clothing, to every hair there when the dog is moving. It's just it's an
It
amazing.
definitely feels real.
Show. It's really hard to mistake Bluth's style for anything else. It is just so amazing and detailed.
I agree. I think they did very good on it. I mean, like
Oh
I said,
yeah.
I appreciate all that stuff a lot more now, especially after getting to know all of you and being with David.
One
I
of
did.
us, one of us.
I well now it's like I look at films a little bit differently every time I watch them,
Don't you?
even
I
if
do
they're
too.
even if they're an older like this than I did when I first watched them because I wasn't looking. I was just looking to watch it. I don't know.
I watch
I
movies
Right.
now and I think about, wow, I'd be talking about this and that if we were doing a podcast for this movie. I mean, you knew that with TV shows. It's like I'm watching stuff as a critic now instead of just as a consumer. Not
As I was saying,
strong
as a
critic,
fan.
but not as strong critic, but still a little more critical eyes than I had
These
before.
discussions definitely zero in on certain things because we cover them, and those who don't normally look at them start looking at them a little differently because you never thought about it that way,
Yeah.
or you didn't think that this was possible, but or
Like
things
you guys
like
would just
that.
talk about this director in all those movies, and I'm like, oh, I love that one and that one and that one. Oh, it was the same guy. I didn't know that because I never know that. I never know the directors. I mean, besides a handful of directors, barely a handful of directors. I don't know directors at all. So I'm really starting to learn about directors and their styles and stuff. And I was always big on the actors and actresses and knowing them and what they've been in and stuff. And now I'm starting to learn like the other side of it, the camera side of how things are made and done and the styles and stuff. It's pretty cool. Um,
I agree with
Hell,
everything Pearl
I
said.
just found out John Williams did Superman, and I was like, well, that makes sense. That's like my second favorite movie theme ever. So he does Star Wars and then Superman, and I hadn't even known he did Jurassic Park either. Like I said, I didn't know nothing about that stuff. I knew he did. I knew he did Star Wars because I fucking love Star Wars. So I know everything there is about Star Wars. But um, other than
I'm
that,
I'm still learning how to get into all the different things that we always discuss, the production and the music and
oh
everything.
yeah,
I'm
it's
still learning how to get into all that
me
stuff
too. I
like
mean, I
everybody
joined
else.
slightly after you, so I'm still learning it all too. I mean, when I jumped in, I was just kind of like, wow, these guys know a lot about these movies. I just watch them.
But I'm all right. But I have been. I know I look at things differently now when I watch them. So,
Yeah.
did anybody else have anything to say about the production or?
It was great.
It
Really well done. I mean, yeah. I mean, I watch animated movies, and I definitely even less criticizing animated than regular. Just because I think of cartoon kids, even though I enjoy them, I still think kids, so it doesn't really matter. But
blasphemy.
the production, well, I'm starting to change my tune a little bit. Okay, but I'm 49, so it's a little slow. But that said, the production of this, like we already said, it is top notch. I mean, it definitely rivals Disney, and you would think it was a Disney
Right.
film. Easily would think this was a Disney film because it's top notch. They don't, every little detail into it is great. So, and the music and everything, it definitely feels like a Disney movie. It's strange that it isn't a Disney movie, but does make sense that he used to work for Disney.
Yeah, well,
do
and funny enough,
movies
the
Yeah.
first time I saw this was on Disney Channel.
If
so
I'm
that probably
remembering,
made you even more think that it was a Disney movie.
well, if I'm remembering correctly, Don Bluth, I want to say because I know we discussed this during NIM. I feel like we discussed that he left Disney under. He wasn't like they weren't on the best of terms. I
Right?
feel like that's what I'm
Isn't that how you
remembering.
leave? Isn't that
Yeah,
how you leave Disney?
But it,
Nobody leaves on good terms.
but he definitely he did a good job getting a lot of stuff. For one thing, he had Spielberg in his corner for a while. Apparently,
That's
they
good.
parted ways in this film because Spielberg thought it was too dark and didn't.
Really?
Yeah, he
So-
refused. I think I read he refused to let Amblin's be a producing partner with this one.
Right, because
And,
Wow, that's a shame.
they had because they
Yeah.
apparently Bluth and Spielberg butted heads on Land Before Time.
Yeah. They just they had too many creative differences there.
No, that
So
happens.
Bluth really did have kind of a darker sensibility apparently than even Spielberg. So let alone Disney. But
Right.
he had that Disney he had a lot of the same background and a lot of the same he knew, how to do this kind of
Right.
stuff. And
And that's what I'm saying.
yeah, and
You'd
a
be
lot
surprised
of
that
his
you'd think it
films,
was a Disney film.
like Land Before Time and American Tail and Secret of Nim definitely stand shoulder to shoulder with most anything Disney put out during that time period. And then, of course, as they started to slip again, Bluth came in and knocked one out with Anastasia. He came out as like. It was like when Disney was slipping, Bluth would be right there to stick it in their faces.
I think they need to bring him back.
Although now Disney owns Anastasia.
Right, they do, yeah. Because I think Anastasia was owned by Fox, wasn't it?
It's a Fox. Anastasia was
now
Fox.
they got it. Yeah, now they have that. Yeah.
Now they own Fox. Yeah.
Fox overstepped.
I think it's easier to name what Disney doesn't own than what they do own or are part of.
Yeah, Fox's animation competition with Disney died with Titan AE.
which is a pretty good movie. Which is a pretty good.
Oh,
movie
it was a good
itself.
movie, but terrible box office.
Yeah, no, I don't know. For some reason, audiences seem to be averse to because I was watching Treasure Planet last week,
Yeah.
which also came out just a couple years later and was also a flop. The audiences seem averse to, or at least Western audiences seem to be averse to animated sci-fi flicks.
Yeah, which is a shame because both of those are great movies.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you one thing. I've seen firsthand what one company controlling everything can do to something like wrestling. I mean, for the longest time, WWE was it. And it was fucking great for a long time. Then when it became the only thing, it just started like not caring. Like, oh, I can do what I want. We're the only company, And it just kind of went downhill big time. So finally, when something else big came out, everyone started watching the other thing, And I would hate to see that happen with other stuff, I mean, as much as I like Disney, they do have their hands in a lot. And it's they actually this year they're cutting down on movies and programming to make better movies and better programming instead of the quality quantity. They're doing quality, and that's due to they brought Bob Iger back in Thanksgiving. I just read about that earlier today, so thought I'd bring it up.
just so I can catch on the music as we move forward. I mean, one of my favorite songs in this, "You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down." I love that one. It's just such a nice and fun one.
My favorite is the Crocodile song.
I think this is a pretty decent musical. I don't know if I would hold it up to Disney in a lot of aspects for many of those, but it's still a pretty darn good set of songs and music.
Yeah, I do agree that and they're catchy.
They are.
Yeah, and the song for the end credits was performed by Irene Cara, who also recently passed
Right.
away.
I have to say, as far as the songs go, I guess You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down was pretty catchy, and that end theme was nice. But to me, they lacked the like Anastasia had some absolute and actually weird little accident. I was playing a mix CD, and I happened to play Once Upon a December on December 1st, and I was like, oh, that was a fun accident. That's an incredible song. But the end theme, Somewhere Out There from American Tail, the end theme from Land Before Time, those are just, to me, they are absolute iconic songs.
I'm surprised you don't mention
And
animes.
there aren't really any of them in here that I'm talking about Don Bluth films.
Yeah.
There aren't any here that really reach that level for me. I think if I saw it again, maybe, but they're nice, but they didn't reach that level for me.
Oh, yeah,
I still have that
was
Escaflowne song stuck in my head.
So-
That happens after 26 episodes,
Right?
which is not always a bad thing. It's usually a good
No,
thing.
it was enjoyable. But the end, I was kind of like, what the fuck? But that's for tomorrow.
That said, I should note that I have yet to see anything to really make me feel like I should watch this series. I think from what I've heard, it's I'm not missing much.
Yeah, the second one is, well, Charlie and them go back down because Carface stole the horn of Gabriel, so he has to go in and fight Satan in order to get it back, and save a homeless kid, a runaway kid at the same time.
Oh, it's not the same girl. Oh, of course, it's gonna be the same girl.
And then the Christmas one was, the Christmas Carol, essentially.
So does anybody else have anything to say about production or the music? If not, I guess we should wrap this up.
Well, how about favorites, characters, and scenes?
Right, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Brandon, why don't you go first? Favorite scene, favorite character?
I do like Itchy. He's always a favorite there. I like that entire visual for You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down. I think that mixed with the song was very catchy, enjoyable, and sets a good tone when it comes to the movie.
Okay. David?
As far as the production, right?
No, favorite character, favorite scene?
Favorite character. I think it's a combination between Itchy and Charlie, and the crocodile. Definitely the crocodile. There's something I like about that big lip crocodile. He's kind of grown on me over the years. But as far as favorite scenes, okay, I gotta admit the crocodile scene is my favorite scene. The whole cannibal rats thing, and all of a sudden, man, I can't eat this thing. Let's make music together. It's kind of a no-brainer there. But I know that it does go dark, but there's definitely little moments here that are favorites. But that's my favorite.
Okay. Kroll?
Yeah, I have to agree with Dave on Itchy and Charlie. Itchy, I mean, Don Dolby's just perfect. Like I said, he was the first voice I recognized, and then when I realized Burt Reynolds, they are great together. And then I said the little girl. I mean, she was pretty smart, adorable, lovable, cute. You really feel for her. She really loves the dogs, and and she wants a mommy and daddy, and wants a family, and definitely a really good character. And dogs are fun and lovable, and even their roguish type. And I agree with Dave on favorite scene. The crocodile scene was just great. Really good scene. I think crocodile's going to eat them or something. Well, you figure they're going to get away, but you don't know how. And pretty cool. The crocodile decides not to eat them, and he sings with them and stuff. And that helps them escape. And then later it helps them again. So yeah, the crocodiles pretty cool. Saves the day twice.
Okay. Forrest.
All right. Favorites. I would say favorite song. I would agree. Actually, I probably actually musical. I would agree. You can't keep a good dog down. And favorite character. Itchy. Also, I agree. Also agree. Itchy was my favorite.
Do you have a favorite scene?
The favorite scene. Hmm. Hmm. Probably the rat race.
Okay, that definitely was interesting. All right, Jake, how about you?
I guess as far as songs, Can't Keep Good Dog Down probably is the one that it's certainly the one I remember the best. As far as scenes or characters or Itchy might be my favorite character. He's just kind of a likable little character, and Dom DeLuise is almost always a likable character.
Almost.
I'm not really positive what my favorite scene would be. I kind of like the first scene where Charlie's in heaven and she's going through the book and can't really find the good points. I thought that was pretty funny. Some of the scenes where he's interacting with Carface, there were some good scenes, but I can't really think of one that stands above the rest.
Okay. Well, for me, Charlie is my favorite. I'm kind of partial to liking Burt Reynolds, so but favorite scene is I love the alligator scene and I love the alligator song. So even though Charlie's my favorite, that's the alligator. I know that just it's it's catchy and it's fun and it's this big old alligator. So, alrighty. Anybody else have anything else to add?
Not that I know of.
Okay, well, I guess we're to
No.
a point of outros already.
Yep, I think so.
Unless you guys want to stay on for like another hour.
No, I don't think so. But in any case, let us start with Forrest. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
All right. My name's Forrest Bennett. I'm an independent film producer and actor based in Long Island, New York. Just had a movie come out called Amityville Thanksgiving, and then I've got another one coming out this month called Silent Night, Bloody Night 3. And then I just wrapped up filming on a secret project just over the weekend. And you can always find me. You can also find me on Instagram. My name is not Gump. YouTube Forrest B Bennett. And I'm always, I've always got something going on in the pipeline.
Okay. How about you, Jake?
Yes, I'm Kotobukijake. I am the co-host on the YouTube channel SeptumSin versus World, where we talk about all kinds of physical media, and we've got a discussion coming up tomorrow about the anime series Escaflowne. That's going to be kind of fun. And basically, I try to get a fair bit of viewing in. I've actually had some pretty good viewing in the last week, so I've got to knock out some good Christmas viewing and some good stuff for next year's Versus Awards. So that's something to look forward to. And I, of course, work most of the time. But we did do company I co-started, RVA Homegrown Natives, did our first workshop over the weekend, so that was really cool. And I still find time to get some stuff watched and come on with these fine folks and talk about all manner of weird stuff. And it'll be kind of a stretch to find the time for next week's, but I'm going to, because that's a good one. So we'll see.
All right. Hope to see you. All right. How about you, Brandon?
Well, I'm SeptumSin, a SeptumSin versus the world. We love physical media, and we're working on trying to do little things. I have my major reviews, which I call them film psychoanalysis, where I go through each and every aspect of the film. I hit it plot point by plot point and work on what I think of it. But I also have this new show called First Impressions, where I do brief reviews of stuff I've watched on physical media. And of course, tomorrow, at the normal time that this is going on, our channel will have a discussion on Vision of Escaflowne, which is a nice series there. And finally, I'm on the Schlockaholics channel, where we discuss, schlock with a couple people. Well, actually, with at least one other person that's been on here.
And I pop up on that channel from time to time too.
Yeah, some good stuff there overall. You got some interviews, you got talks. We discussed some awesome movies. We did Santa with Muscles this weekend as our discussion, so that was always that's always a fun thing to go to.
On that note, just recently, me and Mo, because Mo's kind of the head guy at Shockaholics, but the main guy at Shockaholics. But we recently recorded a series, a new series called Trauma Tuesday.
Well, I'm looking forward to that too. I've heard those pretty good things.
Yeah, I hope you can join us for it sometime.
And and of course, it's been a while since I've talked about what's next week, but I do know that this month is just getting started, and it's going to test our endurances for Rose Red in the upcoming week. So,
Speaking of which, I'll talk to you about it when we get done. Something about Rose Red, okay?
Hey,
So, Crow, go ahead.
well, I'm Kroll, aka Ron. I watch movies, TV shows, love to read, play video games. Come on these podcasts. I come on this one, and on Sunday, Delusions of Grandeur. I'm on the anime discussion. I'll be on tomorrow. I've been on one Schlockaholic so far. Never know where else I'm going to show up. We're supposed to do another podcast called BoobTube TV, and hopefully that'll get started. We can do that. First, it's supposed to be Buffy and going through that, so check it out. Be here sometime, maybe next year at this point. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and I am Tammy, David's fiance. I go on this channel and another with him and talk with lots of people about different movies. I have my own collections, and that's really about it at this time. So, David, we'll go to you, and then you can take us out.
Alrighty, my name is David Streggy. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thank you for coming along with us on this fantabulous journey that we've been having. This is a good start to your month, Tammy. But definitely, hopefully you enjoyed our discussion, and let us know down in the comments what you thought of it. And if you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's a fairly decent movie. But in other words, I also moonlight under a different channel called Delusions of Grandeur, where we also podcast and do something very similar, where Kroll, myself, and Tammy, and our good friend Boris go on every Sunday, and we have a blast. So join us then too. I believe this Sunday we're going to be talking about Once Upon I believe it's called Once Upon a Time at Christmas. It's an independent horror film that I believe involves the 12 plagues. But definitely come and join us on that. It's going to be a fun start to the holiday cheer. So, also,
The holiday cheer started with my fun movie the night before.
that's okay. I believe Tammy has chosen Krampus. So, that'll be the following Sunday. So, hopefully, you'll be there.
Tell
to join us.
You were supposed to let him squirm longer.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I wasn't scoring. I just didn't expect you to pick it.
But in any case, I also put my own video pickups and video reviews on the channel, so definitely check those out when you get a chance. And I am working on an anthology that I do believe that I can say we are going to have the trailer appear in an anthology put together by Film Herman. So I don't know.
Maybe we should pop it on this show maybe next week or something so people can see the trailer.
We could. No. I'm actually going to wait till after it appears in his anthology because I kind of want it to premiere in his anthology. So,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, after that, then we can show it here.
I figure we can probably show it here after at least his release has been released. So,
and of course, I'm going to be doing an acting scene in that movie as well. My first gig, and I also came up with the title, and I helped a little bit with the story. So it's some fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast putting it together. So hopefully we'll get done with at least with the beginning of the film, at least by the end of the year. So
yeah, it takes time, even for short films.
Oh yeah. So so I do some video pickups and video reviews on the channel. So definitely check those out. And I know I'm planning at least to do another video pickup soon because I have quite a bit to share, and I'm sure Crow has begun to collect because he's one of us. So
he's one of us.
But in any case, next week I believe what film are we covering? Was it no, it's Rose Red. Rose Red. So next week we'll be covering Rose Red. So come back and join us and like, share, and subscribe. And
Rose Red, then Yellow Submarine, and then Blue. Wait, what? We're doing all colors?
Right.
Just kidding.
Anyways, everyone, say good night.
Good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
Gracie.